All right. Well, it should have said, and now your host of Keys and TDs Live, Abby Wasserman Ortscheid, but some technical difficulties happened. And it might have been like the migraine that I've been dealing with all day. So that's why you get me looking like this straight out of the shower, but we are going to do it anyway. And because that's what you get with live sports, you cannot give up. You don't get to go home. You have to go out on the field and you have to play anyway. Um, but I am joined tonight by two of my best friends in this industry, two lovely ladies that are actually joining me while they are heading out on the road. One of them has joined from her car. One of them has joined from her home. They have shut out their husbands. They have shut out their children, and they are ready to join us for the next hour. And I mean, if there's really nothing that you want to hear more, it's probably three women talking about what they know best, and that is sports. So I'm going to bring them to the stage now. Joining us tonight are Kristen Lopez and Kandise Varvil. Did I get that right, Kandise? I've actually always wanted to ask you how to pronounce your last name.
It's actually, my full name is Kandise Varvil. I'm just saying, no, Kandise Varvil is perfect.
Okay, well, I'm so glad that you brought up the way to pronounce your first name. So let's just kick this off. Before I let you introduce yourselves fully, let's go over the proper pronunciation of your first name. I'm glad you brought that up. I have made the shirts for the league. Before I let you, like I said, properly introduce yourselves, from the rest of tonight on, I am going to be calling you Candy.
Please don't. I will literally Venmo you right now for you to not call me Candy for the rest of the stream.
Oh, okay, Kandise it is. Kandise it is. I will take that Venmo later. I'll let you know what my Venmo tag is because your girl could use some coffee. And for those of you that don't know Kristen, she is officially the Kristen Lopez. Ladies, why don't you introduce yourselves? Tell our crowd that is joining while I go ahead and hop over to Facebook while you guys are talking for a second. Let me do the marketing and the social share. But tell everybody who you are, who PMPathbuilders is, and what you guys do for property managers.
Absolutely.
And I will get started. Just to clarify, it is in fact Kandise. So I'm Kandise Varvil, co-founder with Kristen of PMPathbuilders.
And I am Kristen Lopez, the other co-founder of the co-founder relationship of PMPathbuilders.
Some might say two halves do a whole here. And
or
PMPathbuilders,
the sharer of brain cells.
Yes. And at PMPathbuilders, we work with property management companies to systemize their operations and sales processes. We do that by diving deep into the processes, building them what some would call a playbook, and then helping them implement it. Kristen also works as a coach, game time, for business development managers.
And Kandise works as a coach, game time, for business owners and operations.
Love that.
So we're here to coach it up all day, all night for this whole thing. Coach.
And we just hired you guys, Candidly. Hey, look at that. I'm already rocking and rolling. And you guys, I apologize. The puns are going to be awful tonight because I took my migraine medicine. So my words might not make sense and the puns might be horrible, but we're going to rock and roll with them. But we actually, at our property management company, did just start working with PMPathbuilders ourselves. Kristen just had her kickoff coaching call with our own business development manager, Zach, who is a part of this property management mega fantasy league. But that's not why they're here. Honestly, I reached out to them. Oh, I see a husband arm. I reached out to them because I said, hey, if there's anything that people want to hear more about, it's really, women talking about football. And it was really after that Taylor Swift YouTube interview on New Heights and that podcast. I think it was when Kristen texted me and she said, no, this didn't happen. We were just talking about this 5 minutes ago. We were talking about how Kristen's knowledge of football really lines up with what Taylor Swift used to know, and it is about this much. But what we have found in running this league is that there are so many adjustments you have to make with your team, with your operations, with fantasy, that it has really been so operational and process driven. And so we've been talking about that, and it just very naturally led us to the PM Path Builders and Kristen and Kandise. So we've been going at this for 4 weeks now. And what have you guys seen from your chaotic view on outside looking in? Has anything struck you guys from looking at the chaos? Let's start there.
Yes. So as it relates to fantasy, I have been in fantasy leagues on and off my whole teenage and adult life, totally out of the loop this year, but I feel like it's inescapable right now. It's constantly on the news. There's constant conversations about what's happening. If it makes sense that that's what people are talking about, we're going to talk more about the tush push later because I've got opinions. And so you see this kind of dichotomy, right? Where when you're outside looking in, and this is really like looking at really any circumstance, if we're looking at sports, if we're looking at industries, you're going to have the people that are in the know. You're going to have the people that are not in the know and they're faking it till they make it. And then you're going to have the people that are experts and they're all dialed in and somehow it still fumbles, right? Our knowledge experts, the people who know football, and yet somehow their team is still losing. And I feel like that's unavoidable.
That's me right now, right? And we were talking about that. So, and I'll actually just go ahead and take us over to our rookie report because I feel like it makes me feel like a rookie these days. So we talked about this last time. We talked about the fact that we moved into what feels like a new atmosphere with this 32-person league. And like you said, you've played fantasy before.
32 people?
Yeah,
That's a lot.
It's the same number of teams, Kristen, just FYI. I know you don't know a whole lot about football, okay? And we're going to do the logo challenge on our celebration live.
I can't wait.
In a couple of months. But that's the same number of teams that are in the NFL, okay?
Oh.
So when you think about,
was this intentional?
It wasn't, but it was, I guess. I guess they have that max set up. And I didn't quite think about that.
But you got there.
Completely honest. I got there eventually, but I didn't quite think about that when I was setting up the roster, right? I set it up as the commissioner, thinking about the way I've played fantasy before, and I'm not a fantasy expert. I'll be honest. I've played a few years. I've watched my son play a few years longer than that. I know Mike, Big Mike, football site pros, who's been playing for 25 years. And so we ended up with a league we're all struggling for kickers and quarterbacks and defenses. And we're kind of stuck. And for somebody who thinks, and I don't want to pat myself on the back because I definitely don't have the football knowledge that my son does, or somebody like Mike Williams, or, Tyler Craddock, who had the best week this week and is running a phenomenal team. But I would have thought I maybe would have won a week by now, and I'm 0-4. And I just can't figure out what it is, whether it's team management, whether it's bench management, whether it's trades. And it's a combination of all of that. I can figure it out. I say I can't, but it is, right? So it's that accountability of sitting down and figuring out, what do you do? And I think that's important, right? I think I caught myself. It's that accountability of what mistakes did you make and how do you move forward from them?
Mm-hmm.
So for our rookies that are new, what mistakes did you make?
Well, what's so interesting as well is, especially when you think about fantasy and you think about fantasy drafts, right, is you can have someone who knows absolutely nothing that gets really lucky with selections, right? So, I mean, we think about, I've been in leagues with like my husband's coworkers who we had a ton of people locked in, or with a group of my friends and everyone's kind of doing something silly. And I remember one year it was my husband, coworkers, friends, and I probably out of everyone knew the least about football at the time. And my goal was I wanted everyone on my team to have their first or last name start with a J, bonus points if it was both, right? I ended up landing Josh Allen, right? And this is like, and that was my first pick because that was my mental goal. I want Jays. And so I ended up, I think I ended up second. I was first almost till the end until my kicker got hurt. And so we end up in this situation where like you're going really far based on coincidence. And that's where I think people sometimes think you have to have all the skill. But a lot of time, luck is the thing. You just fumble into luck unintentionally, and all of a sudden you're scoring, you're gaining points, and now you're at the top of the leaderboard unintentionally. And I think that's huge. You can know everything about it, but what happens when your quarterback gets injured, right? Yeah. And that was your first pick, and now what are you going to do? It's so easy to just miss out or to put all of your eggs in one basket, and whenever that falls apart, you're left stranded.
Absolutely. So let's talk about like what happens when you're left stranded, because I think that translates over into property management, right? Like you guys do a good job, and I don't want this to be a sales pitch, and otherwise we'll lose all of the viewers that we have at this moment. They'll just all like close their laptops and the stream, all of that kind of stuff. But I think this is important because it goes to, like a game plan, all of that, right? I got this from a boss who I'm sure got this from somebody else, but it goes back to that whole, if you're get hit by a bus, what happens next, right? That's what happens with that bench management, your team management, all of that. None of us are ever expecting that our QB1 is going to go out, then we're going to have to roll with our QB2 or that, right? And I think that's a lot of what you guys help property managers with, right? With documenting processes so that as, they are onboarding new team members, or as they are building their team and their enterprise, their structure, their operation, that no matter what happens, whether somebody's out of the office, whether they have to flex their team, whether they have to flex their operations, they have to write a new play, they have to send a new team member out on the field, that workbook, that operational playbook works for them, right? Does that make sense? Am I interpreting that correctly?
Absolutely.
100%.
And I feel like
that first
you were doing today, Kristen. Was it today or was that yesterday that you were on the phone with Zach and kind of texting me to say, hey, this is your existing like biz dev workbook. And hey, I've got questions, and Zach, I'm calling you out. Sorry if you're on this stream right now because he's a part of our fantasy league. But, hey, I'm going to dig into his process more so that we can document it, because, for us, this is our biz dev doesn't stop with Zach. We hope that, potentially somebody like, with the skills of somebody like my son, who is learning the ropes of our business from the ground up, who's learning leasing and then would want to maybe become a business development. That's why Kristen's digging into his process, right? I'm asking because I'm wanting to make sure that I'm understanding your more.
Absolutely, because football's fine, right? But I'm going to pivot and talk about basketball because that's what I know. And I would say that a lot of thank you.
I got you. Let's do it.
A lot of the way that playbooks are designed, and tell me guys if this is the way football is, but in basketball, whenever we design plays, we want to make sure that every player knows their position, but also what is going to happen whenever something goes wrong. What happens when it's the person that is supposed to, this is a football term, run a route. Yeah, run a route or needs to do something, and then they miss it, or they forget, or they stumble, or you have to pivot and react to what the defense is doing. That is exactly the way that we plan most of everything within business. So I think these are very applicable things here. And I can imagine that with the different pivots and everything that we have to do, you have to have backup plans. And you have to know that if this doesn't go correct, what do we do next? What's the next step? What do we do after that? What do we do after that? Because that's just life. And I think that being good at business, and I'm going to take a leap here, being good at fantasy football, it's about being able to pivot whenever things go wrong, because you never know what's going to happen. And you have to have those different backup plans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how that ties into really, so we kind of have two aspects we look at within the business, right? And as we think about any aspect, building out a sales procedure, building out an operations procedure, you have to think about first, like rules of the game, right? You're looking at your SOP and your fair housing violations, and this is your high level This is what we need to know. This is what we need to understand. Sometimes we're going to be looking at this as industry-wide, right? So you're going to have processes that are industry-wide. You know you're going to have maintenance requests. You know that you're going to have fair housing. You know that showing standards are going to exist. So you have that high level, the non-negotiables within your business. And then we get into, our playbooks. We're looking at our actual like calls, right? So that's where we're positioning our team. We're positioning the operations team and the sales and our maintenance. And that is, as we dive in, we have to make sure that this is all aligned, because as we all know, in any sport, if we have teams that are not aligned, that are playing a different game or trying to approach the game with different tactics, that's whenever you're going to see misalignment. That's where you're going to see fumbles, and that's where you're going to see losses. And so we try to focus the way we look within businesses is how are we going to make sure this alignment is streamlined? We call this our growth, capital G growth, which is, it is growth where it is not just, oh, we are bringing on doors. Great. This is so shiny. And look at all of this new properties you brought on. But we're going to ignore the turnover here. That doesn't matter. We're going to ignore the angry owners and the 1-star reviews. We have to make sure this is a cohesive narrative, or you're not going to see yourself move forward. You might have 1 or 2 good games, but what happens after that? What happens when that one team player who is crushing it gets injured because we're putting so much on them, and now the rest of the team can't keep up? And that is really the perspective we have when looking high level into companies, is you have to have a cohesive narrative.
Your defense and your offense working well together, because if you're just good at defense, you'll never score. And if you're just good at offense, you'll still lose because the other team is going to just continuously score points on you.
Well, and I mean, I feel like, Kristen, you say you don't know anything about football, but like the way that basketball and football do really cohesively align when it comes to defense and offense, they really do. And I gotta say, because I am a huge basketball girl, you know this. I mean, the way that I was able to just lean over, not even fall out of my chair and get this Kentucky hat. I have more than one Kentucky hat on this bedpost over here. Okay. Also, the blue in my closet is insane. Okay. But and I can't wait for March. I just listen. I think we're on like a 30-day countdown until basketball season starts, and part of that excitement is the fact that football, and when it comes to the way that defense and offense work together in football, I'll use Kentucky football as an example. We thought, as delusional as the Kentucky fans are, and we know that we are a delusional bunch, especially when it comes to football, because if you know anything about Kentucky fans, we are first and foremost, the majority of us, I won't speak for everybody, but the majority of us are basketball fans first and foremost. Okay. And then we're, everything else, Big Blue Nation. Okay. We support everything else. And this season we had, a couple of QBs that could have done something great. One in particular, this Cutter Boley kid from Kentucky that has a great arm. And in Aiden's words, and I hope he doesn't kill me for actually borrowing his words, because, when it comes to football, his takes are sacred. But he was trying to build me back up while we were watching a game. And he said, this kid looks like, potential rumblings of like what Josh Allen looked like at Wyoming before he developed, right? And so in Aiden's terms, that says to me, he sees potential in this kid. Don't give up hope. But then when I watch the way Kentucky plays, we cannot connect the way our defense and our offense play. They're completely separate. And I think the difference between the two sports, and this is somebody that watches both, more basketball than football, obviously, but these days more football, they're not on the field at the same time. And I think that you get something different and I'm sure that the guys out there watching, and they're saying this is why we don't let women talk about our sport, right? But you can argue with me if you want, but they're not on the field at the same time. And I think that does provide a little bit of harder struggle in that team camaraderie for a football coach, right? In terms of connecting their team. And I think basketball coaches don't have that same struggle, right? Where you have your team playing on the court, you can get them on the court at the same time as well. And you're interjecting some of those players in the same time as you've got your defense and offense on the court at the same time. But with football, that's never the case, and or very rarely the case. And
well, because
yeah, go ahead.
With football too, you have the head coach, the defensive coach, the offensive coach, the special teams
Everything
coach.
is so
Like you
individual.
have everything is so segmented. It's departmentalized, if you will,
Yes.
to where every single coach is responsible for their department. And so but the key thing there with football is that the strategy has to be aligned for every single coach to roll up to the head coach. And if they're all trying to run different things, my favorite movie in the whole world probably is Remember the Titans. Okay, this is one of my favorite movies of all times, right? And so Denzel Washington goes up to his assistant coach and he goes, Yost, you better get on the same page as me. And because he was trying to run a totally different defense than what the offense was trying to do and was not part of the whole game plan there. And so I think that that's a dangerous place for any team to be put in, whether that's in sports or that is in business as well, is if one team is trying to do something and the other part of the team is trying to do something else and we're not all rowing in the same direction. Oh my gosh, so many sports metaphors. If we're not all rowing in the same direction, then we're going nowhere. We're going to go in circles and we're never going to get to the finish line or be able to win whatever it is that we're trying to do.
No, but like I think the Remember the Titans, that's a perfect metaphor, and the way the remembrance of it, because I can't think of another word right now, migraine problems be gone. But that's a perfect metaphor and example for that, because they were running in complete opposite directions. Even the players, they realized that they had to get on the same page, and they did it for themselves, right? Like they kind of came together and they say, listen, this isn't working for us. If we don't get our shit together, this is not going to work. We have to do this.
Yeah, and we have the crawl that's talking about, we're film room findings. And so as we think about a big thing that like we have to think about when we're doing any process correction, and if we are trying to create alignment, one of my favorite slogans the company I used to work for had as a core value was correct the process, not the person, right? So when we think about like reviewing film, we are looking at a cohesive narrative where we're not saying, oh, this guy sucks, right? Well, I mean, I'm sure some teams do that, but as a whole, we're looking at it because we're looking for a narrative for correction, and we're looking at where the problem is, right? We have to be able to understand where it is, where it lies, and address it in a way that is productive for the team. And also, we're not saying this is the problem. We're looking at the process. And at the end of the day, that is the focus. If we're rowing in different directions, we have to be comfortable to take a step back, say this is a problem, and then be able to adjust the narrative.
That's so good, because I think that hey Megan, love you. I think that the most important job of a coach or a leader is to put your people in the best position to succeed. And if that person is not in the best position to succeed, it's not their fault. It's your fault as the leader for not putting them in the best seat. So in business, they say right person, right seat. We make sure, and that's our responsibility as a leader, to be able to put people in the best position for them to be able to succeed. And if we're not, again, that's a leadership problem. That's a process problem. That is not an individual problem there. However, once the process has been corrected and we're looking at it and we're deciding what it is that we're measuring by, then we can determine, okay, this person has a skill set that maybe is better for something different than where they are now. And it is our job to determine, is that within our company or is that not within our company?
Right. You can't ignore repeat mistakes, right?
Yes.
So
and once you put KPIs in place, or you've put an action plan, you've put like some kind of a PIP in place, or you've given them their action plan or that proposal or whatever. Sorry. Once again, migraine brain. Once you've given them that action plan, you cannot ignore those findings that you keep seeing or what comes back in front of your face. So, and then to translate it back into fantasy, if you keep starting that player and they keep underperforming, you cannot ignore what's right in front of your face. If they're underperforming for you, you have to evaluate that, and you have to say, okay, this is not working for me. I need to bench them, trade them, waiver wire them, whatever I need to do.
But I think the hard part of that, at least with fantasy and the way that I understand it, is if you do trade someone or you don't start them or you bench them and then they come out and they have a breakout game and they have scored all these points, I'm sure that that is a special kind of pain that you would experience to where then. So Abby, how do you determine, if I may ask you a question, how do you determine when it is time to trade that player or let them go? And I am talking about just in the realm of the fantasy here. You know, for the rookies out there, how do you know when it's time, or do you just use your gut and make your best guess?
So if you're Todd Ortscheid, you use ChatGPT for every single move that you are making in fantasy. I'm just going to go ahead and out him there. He has asked chat for every recommendation for his pickups and for every trade. If you are a normal human, you think about it, you assess and you figure out, you read the history. So for me, I'm a research person. So I'm looking at what does it look like the next 2 to 3 weeks for them? Are they somebody that I can actually play in the next 2 to 3 weeks? Are they somebody that is going to be productive for me, or is it somebody that is likely going downhill? And if it's somebody that's going downhill, then that's somebody that I'm going to look to trade away. Or if it's somebody that I think that I could get somebody better for. So if they're like, quote, trade bait, so I recently, and I'll be honest, right, there's other people in our league, but I picked up a couple of players off of the waiver wires that I would like to trade away for better players for myself. I won't say who, I won't say for what. I will let that information stay with me. But if I can improve my position by picking up players off of the waiver wire and then, looking for other trades, then that's what and these are all things that I've learned in the last couple of years. Like the first year, all I was doing was like roster management, game management, bench management. Like I was literally just making sure I had an active player in each spot each week. I did not care about trades. I didn't care about, honestly, I didn't even care about winning. I just cared about having, and I cared a little bit about the competition of it, but I didn't care about any of that. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding it. And then it goes back to that little bit of progression each time.
I mean, that ties so closely into if you're not looking at box scores, if you're not checking your starting line, you're going to end up missing out, right? And I think it's so easy to get comfortable and not pay attention. But when you stop paying attention, that's where mistakes happen. That's where you don't notice an injury. And now all of a sudden you're SOL.
Yep. Definitely. Kristen, who would you draft as your quarterback if you had to pick somebody? Do you know active quarterbacks in the league?
Sure. I'm gonna go with the name that I know. I would draft Jalen Hurts.
There you go. And
for no reason except for the fact that he commonly just pops up on Abbott Elementary, which is a show that I love so much. And so that would be the reason, because then my dad is a Cowboys fan, and I know that Dak Prescott is not doing great. So based on the two quarterbacks that I could name off the top of my head, the one that I would choose would be Jalen Hurts. And I'm just so proud, pat myself on the back, that I know that that's a quarterback. Please do not ask me any other position, but I would draft Travis Kelce because I know who that is. Those would be my two people that I would pick.
So let me tell you this. I'm going to tell you that based on your instinct, the person that has been one of the people that has been winning consistently in our league has Jalen as their quarterback. Courtney Parks. And the person who is 0-4, aka the commish bitch, who I have Dak.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Your instincts, this is why I asked you, your instincts as a rookie, as somebody who has not played, were just so spot on just there. Do you see?
Thank you. Thank you.
And Megan is trying to make trades in our other fantasy league while we are live on the air for this. Okay, let's just take a pause. I'm going to go ahead and leave this up here so that Megan has the best chance of making this trade. But we'll take a quick commercial break, if you will. And we'll talk about
This
this.
seems like a bad trade.
It is a
for that?
horrible trade. I'm going to go ahead and hide that so that Megan is not embarrassed anymore. But, and Megan, I don't even think your name is your name in that league. Shall we embarrass you and tell them what your name is currently in that league? Because I will tell everybody that I am currently Ronita's pledge.
Ronita's?
Yes, I am Shannon Hellman's daughter's pledge.
Nice.
For the week because I've lost and we are changing. We have lost the right to name ourselves if we lose. So it's fine. I'm number one. Oh, you won last week, Megan. She won. So she has kept her name.
Oh, she added periods on the end of that. She's mad. Did you see that?
I won.
Period. I won. Period.
She won.
Those are some angry
Or
dots.
some respect on whatever it is her name is in your guys'
Respect. Respect. So while we're talking about results, I guess let's talk about like what's been going on in our division. Kristen got to watch me suffer through trying to upload all of these things into Sleeper tonight. You guys, my vision goes. Migraines are, if you know somebody in your life that suffers with migraines, give them a hug, okay?
Oh, thanks. Give us hugs.
Yes.
Give us hugs.
I've been rolling on a 1 migraine a week to 2 rotation for the last 6 months. I don't even know. Something's in the water. So I feel your pain.
So, well, we were just talking about who won the week. I think this is the right screenshot. There we go. Okay. It takes us all out of the picture, but we're going to do what we do. So the best team this week was Tyler Craddock. And if for those of you that don't know, Tyler is I don't know his proper term. Sorry, Tyler. But he is one of the phenomenal people at NARPM. He's our governmental affairs awesome person. That's going to be his new title, and I really hope he enjoys that. I can see your face still, Kandise, even though you're hidden on the screen. I can see it in my preview, and I can see that you're enjoying that name. But he did fantastic this week, and he's going to be receiving a beanie. And I'm sorry, Zach, but I really hope that your door closing skills are much superior to your fantasy skills. And thankfully, I know that they are. But your team was the worst this week, and I'm sorry about that. I wish I could have played you because then I maybe could have won. With that, we'll talk a little bit of the matchups that are coming this week. I unfortunately have to play Rich Burton. And I might be Leggett cooked again as I come up against Team Powerhouse Ball. Courtney is looking ridiculously good still. I feel like that's a good matchup for her. And 50 Shades of Todd is still looking like a novel by Elise.
But should we just call that 50 Shades of ChatGPT?
I mean, maybe.
AI is not
that's not Todd's team. That's somebody else.
Wait, somebody else has named themselves 50 Shades of Todd?
They did. Yeah, no, Todd is
that's a very interesting, that's an interesting move. That's a move for someone.
It is a move. Then we have my son who is rolling, and here's the thing. As a Bears fan, I don't know whether or not to be offended by the fact that the key part of his team is a Green Bay Packer that he has rolled up in his fat daub.
I was reading that as Dubs.
It is, but his name is Daub, so it's rolling fat. But it's, it's either way.
Doobies.
This is the moment where they're like, wow, women are really still talking about sports, aren't they?
They should feel so. Should they be so lucky that we are still talking about sports?
Who's Brand Daddy? I'm just loving these names. Can I say these are great?
These are such good names. You still haven't even seen the one that won our competition. Like, that's the thing. So like, Aiden's was in the top. Finkel is Einhorn was in the top as well. Then we've got First and Fee. That was one of my favorites. You guys, of course, know Maddie from Property Weld. Look what you made Maddie do. Dog Pound Dawn is Todd.
Wow.
And he is 4-0. Do we want to take a moment to talk about that? Like, I just
4-0. Chat GPT is 4-0.
ChatGPT is 4-0, you guys.
I have been shaming ChatGPT a lot lately, so I guess it gets one win for me.
Like, just a little.
It's diverting the ability to be able to give us correct answers into all of Todd's football stats. So I blame the football fantasy industry for making Chad run slower and less accurate.
Also, I do, just a side note for anybody that's wondering, Chad does get really snarky if you LOL at it and call it Chad. And
oh, my Chad loves it.
Yeah, mine does too. Like, she loves, they love it when I call them Chad, and I'm like, whoa, Chad, LOL, what are you doing here?
We formally, I don't know how this happened, but Chad became the name to the point that like everyone in my immediate circle also refers to ChatGPT as Chad. We will say we need to go consult with Chad. It's just
correct.
Chad.
Yeah, Chad is Chad. Like Chad. So I thought this one was interesting. So we have some superlatives.
Okay.
Ooh. Oh my gosh.
I got the highest points in a loss, which hurts my feelings. It also hurts my feelings that Todd is on here twice.
Biggest blowout and an overachiever.
Now, are we talking about the laundry that I do for him, or just in fantasy?
I have to say, Maddie is the least efficient manager.
You know, here's the thing. I feel like we should give her some grace. She just got done with the Meld MX Summit. And should we just, I know this is your episode, but can we just wow. I mean, I don't see either of you riding on a rodeo horse right now. Like,
I could.
She didn't do that. She didn't do
what I'm doing down here.
She Alberto, hope you're driving.
I'm so glad that this is a lie.
And this is why we do late night and live. And this is what I was hoping for. But I can't wait for this to go out on the Substack. People are going to love it. It's going to get us so many more subscribers.
Back to Meld, crushing it.
So, no, but she's like absolutely crushing it. I can't wait for her to come back once she is done recapping all of the Meld Summit and actually redevote herself to football. Because I feel like this happens for her every year, where she comes back like mid-October and she's like, okay, I'm a Chiefs fan again. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, what did I miss? There's normally like a Taylor Swift release mid happening too for her, and it all just
together. That's in 2 days. Like, if we want to talk Taylor Swift, that is my Super Bowl. But I know that's exactly why all the people are on this right now, is because they want to hear me talk about Taylor Swift. They want to hear
from us about Taylor Swift and football.
I could write a thesis statement on the analogies of Taylor Swift and process movement.
Should we talk about how Travis Kelce does not know how to tush push, but we can talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and the tush push, or the Buffalo Bills and the tush push?
Dude,
I would just like to say that I think the tush push is an erotic statement.
Well, we don't want to hear from you and whatever you have going on over there. We've already established that it is off the rails at the Kristen Lopez situation over there.
You never know. You never know, guys. Okay, you
Okay,
never know
so
what's happening.
I feel like this needs like a new a new scroller.
I think it should just be like let's get tushy or something, because I've got feelings, Abby. I've talked to you a little bit about my feelings. So we have the tush push. We've got a bunch of people ticked off because they do something bad. Kristen cannot take the tush push seriously. She does not understand how serious the topic is.
Called that?
Because it's a like I don't.
Because
do I
grown
need to paint
men
a picture?
are standing in a line pushing each other's butts.
They're doing it well. They're doing it,
and that is a serious statement. And I'm the one who can't
Kristen,
take it seriously. That is insane.
Not only are grown men standing in a line and pushing each other, other grown men are mad because they can't do it as well. It's the tush push, okay? Like it is. They are.
That looks like somebody's head is where it shouldn't be.
There are people who see that and they're like, "How dare they do that?" Because I want to do it better.
So they just help their fellow man.
They're pushing them to help them get additional yards. And
I mean, we're talking about the tush push. We could start talking about that whole rugby lift off.
And it's just, I find it very interesting that one, it's become such a big deal because I think everyone can acknowledge there's probably some bigger issues within the NFL than the tush push. But the fact that like people who don't know about football know about the tush push because people are so mad about it is phenomenal to me. Like that is, I find that to be very interesting. And I think as it relates to like people looking in, they're choosing to be upset about something because another team's better at it instead of spending that time, that energy, and improving either their own skills in that capacity or in other capacities. And I've got strong feelings on the tush push drama.
Wait, so are you pro or anti?
I'm pro tush. Like, okay, why are you going to be ticked off about a play because you do it worse, right? Like, could you imagine looking at your property management business and be like, oh, my residents are mad because I never get work orders done, so no other company should be allowed to hire vendors. Like, that is so silly. So
I've actually met those property managers, though they're not NARPA members.
Sorry, go ahead. I just have nonsense to say.
I just find it absolutely insane. I think that it is putting your energy in the wrong direction when there are so many other areas, because it's like, let me just stop my feet and be mad because this is so unfair that I'm worse at something. And I don't like that mentality. How about be better?
It sounds like there's some tantrums that are happening.
I agree.
That's what it sounds like. Over tushes. They should recruit people with better tushes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, speaking of somebody that watches a good
maybe do some squats. I don't know.
The tushes are okay. They just need to push them a little bit more, and they need to. We are officially off the rails. Okay, I'm going to bring us back. We're going to go to our management minute because we don't have to take a full hour today because we have gone off the rails. So I am reading us.
And so, yeah, as Abby mentioned, Kristen is literally in the car driving across the country. Yeah. And then I immediately am leaving this to get on a flight to go to New York City from Arizona. So we are here to rally. We are here to bring chaotic energy.
Kudos to myself because I am physically on the way to a football game. I am going to watch a game of the foosball. Waterboy is also my other favorite movie. Okay, that's very important to know that my football references come from.
I'm looking for it.
Waterboy, Remember the Titans, and then also Rudy. If you guys haven't seen Rudy, that's my football knowledge base right there.
You do see that right there on the third line, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was very disappointed.
Who is that person? Nick.
That is Nick Whaley.
Nick, do better. Do better, Nick. I'm counting on you. I'm
you have a legacy to uphold, Nicholas.
Oh goodness. So I mean, okay. So wrapping it all up, I feel like the takeaways from this week are number one, don't lose.
Yeah, that would be
Nobody
so embarrassing.
Number one, don't lose. And so I should probably win this week. But
Do
if
you
I
have-
don't,
Do you have good defense with good tush push?
I no. I have the Colts. But I think what we do, we are so off the rails still. What I do is I make those minor adjustments. I don't go crazy, right? And I think the same is true for our rookies, right? We look at how we can adjust the team. We make, smart trades, and we also work with the team that we have, right? Maybe working strategically with the partners in the league. Maybe other people can, reach out to people that they see strategically need players from their team or that they've acquired by trade or on the waiver wire, and all of that. But at the end of the day, kind of like what you said, Kristen, not letting the losses get to you and also making sure that both sides of our team are communicating and that it's all working for the good of everybody. I think that's kind of the moral of the story. What am I missing from all of that? Did I leave anything out?
I would just like to say, don't give up. No matter where you're at on that leaderboard, next week could be your week. Next week could be the week that everything changes for you. And the only way that you won't win is if you quit right now. So don't quit. Just keep pushing forward.
And don't get lazy, because you could be absolutely crushing it right now, and all it takes is a turn in the tides.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay. So final whistle. So you guys are headed to New York. I'm gonna get a bagel. I'm gonna get a bagel and smear.
Only that's all I'm gonna eat the whole time I'm there.
Okay.
Good. I support that.
Bring it to me. I still cannot believe this, but I've literally never been to New York. I was talking to my friend Leah the other day. I've got Southwest points. Todd is literally
Wait. You've never been either, Kandise?
No, this is my first time. And now to get as absolutely far away from football as I can, I'm going to New York because I'm going to go see a Broadway show. So I don't know what
Not just any Broadway show. I'm sorry. Can we just take a second?
What are you going to see?
Kandise.
I'm going to go see Hamilton with the Leslie Odom Jr., who is returning as Aaron Burr.
That's a Super Bowl right there. Let me tell you.
That is my Super Bowl.
That's also like one of mine. So yeah, I'm super jealous. I hope you have the best time. I might just book a ticket on Southwest with my points, and I might just see you there this weekend. Okay, great.
I don't know. I'll take a train up from Maryland. We can all meet.
Fantastic. So with that, any parting words, any words of wisdom, anything besides go Pat go, all of those things are allowed on this show. Otherwise, you and I are no longer friends if you say those words. I will just send you all of the Chicago Bears things if you say those words on the show.
I have no idea what those words mean. Sorry.
Good.
I was just gonna say thank you so much for having us. I hope that we were able to entertain with our lack of or occasional or chaotic knowledge. I do think that you should absolutely have us at the end to completely roast everyone. I think that we do that very well. We will roast your names, we will roast your scores, we will roast your losses. So if you need an incentive for the loser, feel free to tap us in and we will shame.
Perfect. And you guys will be back. So I forgot to mention, the PMPathbuilders, they will be back on I think it's the playoff preview episode it's like January, because that's how long the football season is. So don't give up, like Kristen said. So yeah,
no, the
preview episode is in January. So that's when they will be back, if not sooner. So Kristen, final words.
I don't have any parting knowledge. I'm just really looking forward to the Bad Bunny concert that's going to take place in February, and then this surrounding game that will happen around that. But really what I'm going to be showing up there for is the commercials and Bad Bunny.
Yep, Bad Bunny all the way.
Football is secondary, so that's what I'm looking forward to, guys.
I understand. I understand.
I'm here
I
for it.
also am in it for the commercials and the football and the Bad Bunny. So I
Okay,
hear
well,
you on both.
if you want to do a recap after the Super Bowl of the best commercials, I could do that.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do a commercial recap. So, well, thank you, ladies. I appreciate you. If you want to get in touch with them, their contact information is going to be on the screen afterwards. There will be a QR code that you can scan. And then, like I said, they will be back with us in January. Until then, keep your rosters loaded, check your benches, check your box scores, check for injuries, and we will see you soon. Thank you so much for joining us on Keys and TDs Live. Bye, ladies. Have a
Bye.
safe
Bye.